Welcome to the PodoTron Network.
You know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, your race, religion, whatever. Chances are that the legacy of HBCUs and their graduates affect more than one aspect of your everyday life. HBCUbiquity.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Welcome to a new episode in a new season of HBCUbiquity. I'm your host, Joyner Jr. Before we get started, I want to thank and acknowledge HBCUbiquity's new friends at the PodoTron Network, our new home and where you'll find new episodes of this podcast each and every week. For those that are returning from our last season, welcome back. Thanks for checking for this podcast, and thank you for your continued support. You won't be disappointed with this season, as you'll hear upcoming episodes on a wide range of topics from closed and defunct HBCUs to politics, religion, sports, and most importantly, the many challenges and opportunities that make HBCUs unique and worthy of your support. Finally, to those listening to HBCUbiquity for the first time, welcome. Again, please remember to check back here on the PodoTron Network each and every week for more constructive conversations with HBCU community. You know, as we close in on the end of the fall semester, I want to talk during this episode and upcoming ones about ways and reasons for HBCUs to identify and explore new sources of revenue. As tuition costs continue to remain stagnant, or in some cases, as they continue to rise, many of our HBCUs have had to, quote unquote, tighten their belts, so to speak, and get creative so as to maintain or expand their academic competitiveness, as well as those, let's call them non-academic offerings to their students. You know, the good stuff like apps and Wi-Fi and fast food joints in a food hall and that kind of stuff. But state legislatures are tightening their disbursements, their grants, their allocations to HBCUs. So where does the money come from to, say, renovate dormitories, improve campus technology, and in some cases, offset tuition costs? Well, in the case of Southern University at Baton Rouge, the answer may lie in researching medicinal plants, such as marijuana. By now, I'm sure that you have read and heard about more states legalizing medical and recreational marijuana use. And hey, CBD oil is becoming the new cure-all wonder drug. So how is Southern Baton Rouge taking advantage of this? In this episode, we'll talk with Dr. Janana Snowden, a Grambling State alum and current director of the Southern University Institute for Medicinal Plants. We'll talk with Dr. Snowden about what exactly Southern is doing, why they're doing it, and what they hope to achieve in this non-traditional venture. So thank you again for listening to the first episode of our new season on the PodoTron Network. Hey, let's get started. Welcome to the new HBCUbiquity. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the new HBCUbiquity podcast. I'm joined now by the director of the Southern University Institute for Medicinal Plants, Dr. Janana Snowden. Good afternoon, Dr. Snowden.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well. How's everything in Baton Rouge, home of the Jaguars today?
Oh, it's wonderful. Everyone's preparing to go to Memphis to the game, but it's a great environment here in South Louisiana. And
for those that are a little unawares of what game she's referring to, this is being recorded on Southern Heritage Classic weekend.
That's correct.
All right. So with that said, I'm familiar with your background, but for the benefit of our listeners, can you explain how attending multiple HBCUs led you to where you are now?
Well, it's crazy because I say often that this field chose me. I'm a country girl from Zachary, Louisiana, and I was a student athlete at Grambling State University. I always knew that I wanted to be in the medical field, but I didn't quite sure and know what capacity I wanted to be in. So I ended up majoring in wildlife biology. So I was out there trapping black bear, working with plants and things of that nature. But, after I graduated, I lost several people, that were very dear to me to cancer. And also I was seeing others that, that were close to me suffering from diseases that I saw that were most prevalent in African-American communities. And from there, I discovered that I had a passion for research because I'm like, okay, I have to make a difference. I want to do something about it. So I went on to Southern University to pursue my master's degree and then on to my doctorate degree in environmental toxicology. So it was through my toxicology degree that I was actually exposed to the cancer research, and I was able to look at the cellular and molecular levels and actually able to see like all the interactions that were taking place and how you could actually manipulate these cells using plant extracts, and you could, like I say, manipulate and kind of alter the pathways that were triggering different cellular responses. So we would see that you could actually stop cancer cells from growing just by putting a certain extract on it. So, that further intrigued me. So, like I say, this field kind of chose me because I knew I wanted to go into cancer research. But, as the medical marijuana came on board, that just provided another avenue for me to utilize, these medicinal plants.
Okay, so for the benefit of our listeners, and frankly for me as well, can you put into layman's terms how medical marijuana can be used to treat what you just said about coating of molecular cancer cells? How does that work?
So what we do, and actually we're not utilizing the medical marijuana right now for it, we're actually utilizing the Roselle hibiscus plant. And we're looking at the anti-cancer and the neuroprotective properties of that. So what we actually do is take this plant, we grow it, get the extract from the plant using various methods. And we get the extract from this plant, and we can actually introduce this into cells in vivo, meaning that we're on the bench top and actually putting the extract on the cells at a certain point in time. And we look at those cells to see how they're actually growing. So, that's usually what we do when it comes to, the research. And like I said, we're not using medical marijuana at this time, but we are utilizing Roselle hibiscus.
So does that mean that Southern University's Institute for Medicinal Plants is moving towards the medical marijuana space, or you're around it? How does that work?
So we are currently around, being that we are the licensee for our vendor, Ilera Holistic Healthcare. And we actually oversee Ilera. And I'm going to say, so being that the marijuana space and the marijuana is still a Scheduled 1 drug, so therefore it is federally illegal. Mm-hmm. We had to partner with a third-party vendor, right? Okay. So we partnered with this vendor, so they actually run the operation, but we actually oversee them. So I'm at this facility, maybe 2-3 times a week, just seeing what progress is being made, seeing the medicine being made, the plants growing, and things of that nature. So we are in the space, but at the university, like I said, it's federally illegal. So we are actually studying other medicinal plants so that once, we get to a place where we can actually study the medical marijuana, then we'll already have these parameters in place to get those studies off the ground.
In the facility that you're supervising, where is that located?
So that's located in Baker, Louisiana. So it's approximately 7 miles away from our university. Another reasoning for that is being that, like I said, it's federally illegal, and we didn't want, to have the plant on our university campus and, be at risk of losing federal funding.
Oh, definitely understand that. And so if I hear you correctly, then on the campus facility, you are studying the hibiscus plant, but at the facility, you are monitoring their employees for their cultivation, I guess, of the medical marijuana?
That's correct.
And besides, you mentioned, that the parameters, especially right now, being that it's still, Schedule 1. How'd you phrase that, Schedule 1 drug?
Yeah, so it's still a Schedule 1 drug according to, the federal government. Mm-hmm. That means if you're caught with it, you're going to jail, or you're going to be arrested, or, or some criminal action is going to come against you.
I guess I was asking that question, the question to tee up how, in order to partner with the vendor, did you need any, type of licensures or political, approvals, anything like that?
Oh, yes. So we did have to go through, licensing through the state. So the state was approved to actually start the medical marijuana program. And Southern University has actually been involved with this initiative since 2016. And that's when we opted in as a partner with the state's program. And that program is regulated by the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and it has input from other state agencies. So in relation to, the political aspect, so they approved the conditions in which we could actually have people qualify for the medicine. They approved, the type of medicines that we would actually do. And this past legislative session, they actually, the lawmakers passed several measures for additional products such as meter dose inhalers. And that was a big one for us because that's going to allow us to introduce the medicine in the form of an asthma pump. For some people, that's going to be, a quicker way for them to get relief. And also more conditions were added to the list that we had. And starting off, we started with 3 conditions. We're now up to 15. So if you qualify for any of those 15 conditions, you qualify to get a recommendation for the medicine. And also in this past legislation, industrial hemp, that was actually approved, the legalization of industrial hemp, and that actually would help us with the medical marijuana because it provides additional revenues for us to extract the cannabidiol oils that's used for, pain relief and, just the calming effects of the medicine.
Is that the same as CBD oil?
Correct, it is.
Okay, you also mentioned that there are now 15 conditions that can make a person eligible to receive this treatment. Where do they go to find out more information about these conditions and how they can be eligible?
So they can visit Southern University's website and they'll see a list of conditions there. Also, Southern University Ag Center's website. And under Ag Center's website, you can go to medical marijuana research, and it will give you that information.
So for listeners in Louisiana, that means you need to Google Southern University's Agricultural Center and then scroll down for the medical marijuana part, right?
That's correct. That's right.
So Dr. Snowden, you mentioned that Southern started this process, I guess, in 2016. What made Southern decide to go down this path?
Well, I'll tell you that Southern University's Ag Center has a mission of linking citizens of Louisiana with opportunities for success. So we aim to transform the lives through education and innovative research. Our major focus deals with the future of agriculture and how it impacts our state, our nation, and even the world. So we found that we saw that this program would actually give us a great opportunity to participate in the progress, that the state was making with medical marijuana. So it was pretty simple for us because legislation, gave us the opportunity to opt in. So we did. We had an opportunity to not do it if we didn't want to, but, we saw the future of this and where this could potentially go, for the university, and the administrators opted in.
Especially after, recent years and recent news, is it safe to say that this could be a potential huge revenue source for Southern University in the short-term future or long-term future?
Oh, most definitely. This actually, we see that we've seen great, I want to say, enhancement of the university's profile in terms of innovation, in terms of research, and in terms of outreach. And as the products are manufactured and sold, it's going to add to our financial portfolio, as you mentioned, which would in turn help us with the enhancement of student opportunities, also the introduction of more programs, and facilities, and that's not only just on the SUBR campus or the Southern University Baton Rouge campus, but also, the other campuses within the system.
And let me just cut you off right quick, Dr. Snowden, for listeners that are not aware. Southern University is a system with actually 3 campuses, the main one in Baton Rouge, a satellite campus in New Orleans, and a satellite campus in Shreveport. Sorry, I just had to make sure that our listeners were aware of that.
No, that's good. Thank you.
This is Thomas Joyner Jr., and you're listening to the new HBCUbiquity. Dr. Snowden, do you see any other short or long-term benefits for Southern through this, besides the financial, of course?
Well, the financial, but also the student base. We've had an influx of students coming to our ag sciences department wanting to enroll in our plant science curriculum, because of the fact they want to learn more about the plant. They want to learn more about how they get into this industry. So like I said before, we're not actually studying the plant, per se, but we do study other plants. So the students are able to come through this curriculum or through this program and learn about other plants, learn about extraction methods, so that if they do decide to go into that field, they'll have, the background that they need to pursue that career.
You all might be training the next Dr. George Washington Carver, it sounds like.
That's correct. Correct.
Dr. Snowden, are there any other colleges or universities in the state of Louisiana that are doing the same thing as Southern in this space?
Yes, Louisiana State University is the only other institution that's involved in the STACE program, and they do have similar operations and regulations that we do at Southern University.
Mm-hmm. And so, Dr. Snowden, in your opinion, should other HBCUs, and I guess particularly land-grant HBCUs, get in on this field? Why or why not?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say yes, definitely they need to be in there because you have to realize that HBCUs and land grants have not only a mission, but we have an obligation to advocate beyond our campuses. Mm-hmm. And this includes like our research programs that benefit society. And the medical marijuana program is the epitome of just that. So we would love to see our fellow HBCUs participate in similar programs. In fact, we hope to become a model resource in this emerging field.
And how do you see this emerging field maturing, that is, over the next couple of years?
So I see it growing. I see others coming aboard. I see the negative stigma that's been associated with medical marijuana for so long. I see it ceasing. I'm hoping that the medicine becomes more accessible to patients that really need it, and also that people will start valuing other medicinal plants as well as medical marijuana that would help to combat this opioid epidemic that we're facing today. Yeah. And I would also love to see the continued evolution of the legal system regarding marijuana.
Okay. And I'm assuming I want to assume that you are referring to the criminal side of the legal system.
That's correct. And we've seen everything from expungements to changing in laws to protect those, that are involved in the industry. But also we want to see, like I said, the expungement of those who were criminalized for some of this. And now that they're making it legal for medical marijuana in Louisiana, but other states has made it legal for recreation. So, those people should not be penalized. Although it was prior to that, yes, it was a crime, but at least decriminalization of the drug, since it is coming and looked at as a medicine now.
Dr. Snowden, I guess for my next question, I want to, just qualify this with, I've noticed in the last maybe, 2 years, especially within the Deep South, here in Texas, in Louisiana, other states, many states are passing legalized forms of hemp, as you mentioned earlier, and CBD oil dispensaries are proliferating all over the place. With that said, what do you see as the next, I guess, breakthrough coming in this space in the next year or 2 or 3?
Well, in this space, and I don't know if I'm going to say year 2 or 3, but okay. I will say that I do see patients giving success stories, saying how they have found relief with the medicine. Just this past week, we saw a news article of former Governor Kathleen Blanco, who passed away, and she utilized this medicine within the last 2 weeks of her life. And her family, they commented on the progress that she was making just from, the medicine that she was taking and the medical marijuana. And so we're hoping to see many more of those stories. And, like I said, as a researcher, that's my hope. That's what I see. That's what I foresee. And that's what I want to see, because, when you see people who are suffering from, different conditions and things like that, your heart just goes out to them. And, you want them to have the relief that, they should have to lead a productive life.
So, Dr. Snowden, in closing, you were talking in the beginning of this conversation about the various treatments that you are researching with the hibiscus plant as it relates to various cancers. Are you able to expand upon what types of cancers that you are currently using your research to heal, or I guess to ease the suffering, so to speak?
Oh, yes. So we started off looking at prostate cancer, because that was one of the cancers that was prevalent here in our state and across America as a whole. But more so, we started with the prostate cancer, and we're looking to move on to ovarian cancer. But we started looking at the hibiscus extract and how it actually worked within this system. We saw that it did suppress these cancer cells. So it stopped them from, growing and migrating to other areas of the body. So, this is ongoing research, and we're looking for, more as we move along. But in terms of the Roselle hibiscus and the Alzheimer's and autism research, we're doing that as well. So we're looking at the extract, and we're using the rabbit model, and we're looking at the neurons. So what we're trying to see is if we can actually measure oxidative damage within these neurons, and if this Roselle hibiscus extract actually helps us to restore those neurons. So that's where we are now.
Through the rabbit model?
That's correct.
And what is a rabbit model?
So a rabbit.
Oh, okay. There you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
And are there any breakthroughs on the horizon that you can, get us hyped up about?
Well, like I said, we have seen the suppression of the cancer cells, so it's pretty much stopped it from progressing to other areas. So that is something that we are hyped about. Good. We're looking to publish that information very soon, actually. So, like I said, it's ongoing research. What I'm more excited about is the opportunities that it's presenting for the students and the excitement that they have while working, in this space as well.
And by the way, those students, are those like students of yours, or can anybody sign up through work study to do this?
So they're mostly our students in the plant and soil science curriculum, but we do have students that come from biology. I have students who are part of the honors college, and they assign them to me, and they will come and do projects as well as service learning students. So although they're coming, to do clerical work, most of them, they get excited when they see the research, and they, want to learn more about it. So they go into the laboratory, and we teach them, the techniques and things. So,
well, Dr. Snowden, thank you for this conversation, and I'm sure, even on the research side where you are, you've noticed and read and seen about how this is becoming at least hyped up as, especially during recent election cycles, as a new economic opportunity for America, so to speak. And as I've traveled through other states and seen other schools and universities being a part of this new effort, What always comes to my mind is more than half of our public HBCUs are land-grant schools. This is what our schools do and were founded to do, besides those that are founded as teacher colleges. So I really appreciate you responding to me and being able to have this candid conversation today. And in closing, I just want to congratulate you on both your progress and your trailblazing in this field, because it's not just Southern University. It's not just Southern University. It's you. It's your name that keeps popping up on Google through all of this. So congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you for that. But I represent Southern University in this effort.
That's right. That's right. Go Jaguars.
That's right. That's right. And thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Dr. Snowden. And we'll be back with more HBCUbiquity. This is Thomas Joyner Jr., and you're listening to the new HBCUbiquity. Welcome back to the new HBCUbiquity Season 2. First off, I want to thank you for listening to this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it and will return each and every week for more constructive conversations with the HBCU community. Secondly, I want to thank Walter Johnson, Alexis Bolden, Stephanie Arterberry, and all of HBCUbiquity's new friends at the PodoTron Network. Check out this and more great podcast content at PodoTron.com. Oh, and by the way, that's PodoTron.com. Check them out and give them some support and feedback. Thirdly, I want to thank Dr. Janana Snowden of Southern University for that informative conversation about what her and her team are doing and why they're doing it. Anyone keeping up with current events in recent years probably knows that cryptocurrency and legalized marijuana, whether for medicinal or recreational purposes, are two of the newest and most hyped up industries for those who are trying to make a lot of entrepreneurial money. Now, regarding the latter, there's a lot of potential money there. Heck, there's a lot of money right now in medical marijuana, and props to Southern University, Baton Rouge, for seizing the opportunity. For our HBCUs to grow and thrive in the 21st century, in other words, not just to survive, HBCUs have to maintain and or grow traditional forms of revenue while seeking non-traditional means such as this. Now, make no mistake, we still need fundraising, alumni support, and grant writing more than ever. But we're going to have to set and meet higher goals over the next decade to compete on a level playing field for the best and brightest young minds. Where does that money come from, you might ask? Well, besides this episode, we'll have more in the very near future about other potential and non-traditional revenue sources for HBCUs. But in the meantime, thanks again for listening. I'm Thomas Joyner Jr. Please check back here and next week for another episode of the new HBCUbiquity podcast.
Sign up and be a part of the team. Be a PodoTron at PodoTron.com. Thank you for listening to PodoTron.